Okay, so it's Mr. Borghese here again, and I wanted to show you a way that might work to take notes and for some of the content. Now, I know it has not yet been posted by the TDSB. I'm actually browsing last year's course as a student, but here's how you would get it. So we're logged in, and you would see, course home, content, assignments, discussions. So your textbook, your e-textbook in audio and written format is here in the green content book. So I'm going to click on that. And then, course information, stuff like the course outline, podcast, that's where they read it to you. And then we have, our, key, culminating project, things like that. So the first unit, it's a small world after all, about trade. And then you click on the units, and the first unit is called first task is made in Canada. Have to click on it again, and finally a third time on the tab that says content. Only when you click on all three will it launch the actual text. So remember, it's a small world after all, made in Canada, and content. That's what you'll have to do each time there's reading in the course. Now, if you go here, I can, make it its own window if I like it bigger. And so when I, click on it, I'm going to scroll through. It may ask you to click on the learning goals and the success criteria. Just click OK, and you can scroll through it all the way to the end. And there's some different, activities, some questions, and so on. Finally, all the way at the end is, our task, our first little project we'll do in a couple of weeks, not right now. It's going to be this impact of globalization, so you can start to think about that. But so my thought about this and how to learn best is there's a lot of information in here. And if we get towards the culminating, we get towards the exam, it'll be hard to know exactly where in the text the information that you need is. So maybe if you're a pen and paper person, you might want to take some notes of some key terms, as they come up, something, that I emphasize, but I'll show you an electronic way to do it as well that might be helpful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the little expanding window, and I have to click on learning skills and work habits. Just read them, at the start. It's a little bit of teacher jargon. And I'm going to right click on the text, print it, and save it as a PDF. So if I were to scroll through it, I can see all the notes. And I'm going to save that as a PDF. Something that you easy to remember, either the topic or the exact. I always like putting the course name here, and then I'm going to save it, and it'll now be on my computer, and I can open it in Adobe PDF reader. Okay, so now I'm here in my PDF reader. Yours will look slightly different depending on what your computer version is. I've changed my laptop and this PDF software. Things are in slightly different places, and we're always getting used to our new software and our new technology. So I'm going to turn on highlights and notes, and then I'm going to select the highlighter tool. And you can choose the color. You could have a system, if you're really organized. So you could highlight, as much or as little as you want. I think you should, highlight something, either if it's the old school way, you're writing it down, or you're, using the PDF thing, do something. So to me, the biggest important part of this first page is the types of businesses we could have. And one of them is when you own a retail or distribution outlet in another country. For example, Tim Hortons, they operate donut stores in New York State. Roots is trying to open some businesses in Asia where they can sell their goods. Another one is to have a manufacturing plant in another country. And car companies, the minimum wage in Mexico is a lot lower. They'll open up a plant there and manufacture their goods there. And as you can see, as I highlighted, it's going here in my my columns. So, you know, if I forget where the information is, I turn on my, you know, highlights and notes, and it goes directly there. You know, exporting to another country. You know, you've been selling, you know, your clothing out of a store in Kensington Market to as many businesses as you can in Canada and Toronto. So you start going to the US. You start going overseas. You know, you ship online to another country. Or, you know, oops, a little bit of a Control Z there because I made a bit of a slip up. You import from a business in another country. Now this is great because some things in Canada might not be available. You know, for example, fruits at certain times of the year. We can import fruits, you know, from the US when they are in season and have things like, you know, oranges, you know, or bananas year round when we cannot grow them. And we can, you know, if there's things that are unavailable, you know, certain, it's hard to effectively make electronic equipment and clothing in Canada, so we get lower prices because we might import this stuff, you know, Apple products from South Korea. You know, and the last way to be an international business is capital. Either you accept money from an investor overseas, you know, to help, or you might, you know, a Canadian mining company might partner with a local company, you know, perhaps in Africa, or, you know, for a mineral mine, you know, perhaps copper or gold, you know, 50-50 Canada and another country, a joint venture. So then I know that, you know, as long as I save this, when I reopen it, I will have my notes in here. Okay, so this is the highlights you can see here, you know, and it goes, you click on them, it goes directly to them. Now what about the notes, you're probably asking. So I'm going to scroll down to the bottom, and I've clicked my little pencil thing here, which is the markup tools. And, you know, you could, you know, add in some text, you know, if you wanted to make, you know, Mr. Borges says something was very important, you might want to, you know, put that next to it, or you might want to write the definition in your own words, you know, to help you remember. You know, you can definitely do that. And in terms of, like, you know, a note, well, it's this little windowy box here, and, you know, you can click on it, and, you know, important future trends for globalization. And you don't have to type out the whole thing, you know, it goes to your into your markup menu, and again, you know, then it will go exactly here. And, you know, if you wanted to, you know, write remember this, and, you know, that would be where you would do it. And I'll just show you. I'll close this. Here's my you know, file. I'll open it up again, and you can see all of my changes are there. So even a couple weeks later, I can go directly to the important parts that I have highlighted. So whatever your system is, I think find a system and it'll help the course go smoothly.